Hi everyone, it is Tanya the Lady Strange. Welcome to the weekly collective reading for the week of August 17th of 2025 to August 23rd of 2025. So, welcome to my altar room. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome and thanks. So, this week, the previous week, should I say, I just had, I went to Salem for my yearly pilgrimage, which I'm blessed on. I can't talk as usual, and I'm really, really tired and drained. But I had a great couple days in Salem, despite difficulties and personal things that happened for my husband and myself. But we got through it, and we still got to do our Salem trip. There may be a haul video coming in the near future, just not today. I'm not filming today and getting it all ready. So yeah, but it was an amazing experience. Weather, we traveled to or should I say we visited our favorite museums, like Count Orlok's, for example, and the Witchboard Museum, and got to talk to John, who is the owner and runs it, who's very knowledgeable, friendly, knows so much about witchboards and witchboard history, and has such an amazing collection that he actually adds to. So if you're in Salem, check out the Witchboard Museum. There's always something new to learn, to experience, to see, feel, and the history of it and the magic. And someone that actually knows, and I learned so many things from John, and my husband and I have always lucky enough the past couple of years to have a great conversation with them on many levels, in many things. And of course, Count Orlok's, like I said, the Wax Museum, if you are into Hammer films or Universal horror films or the modern films such as, the more modern things like Hellraiser, Child's Play, Aliens, Predators, the list goes on. Then basically that Wax Museum is amazing. The figures are great. The environment is great. It's a must-go if you're a horror fan, or even a fan of that gothic aesthetic. That's a must-go too. So those are two of my favorite things I visited, along with the Salem Willows, Blackcraft Cult, one of my favorite clothing lines, of course, and just overall the enjoyment of the Ugly Mug Diner for breakfast 2 days in a row. So I was highly blessed to get a gift card for our anniversary from my cousin. We enjoyed 2 great breakfasts there. So yes, so this is not completely, but it kind of ties into what I've been into. I've ended the past 2 days at a convention, right after coming back the day before from Salem. So a nice vacation week, but also a busy week. And the convention went well. It was a sci-fi horror fest. So yes, our aesthetic, our enjoyment, our connection with our friends and other fans, and I did use my ability and read my cards in. So that all ties in. So that's what I've been up to, and just context, I guess. I just feel rambling. If you're here already, then you're already used to that, or watch any of my previous videos. So this week, let's start off with the crystals before I forget. So this week I pulled 2 crystals. I cast 2 crystals right before doing this reading. Now, last week we had the raw version of obsidian, and that seemed to come in very very well into alignment as a advisor, a tool, and a message for the collective last week. At least I know for myself I utilized it, and I've gotten some feedback, which I'm thankful for. But when I cast, and I did it twice, I got raw obsidian again. So that's telling me I got 2, but I got raw obsidian first. So I accept it and taking it since it came out twice. And that is telling me that we're still having continuation of energies, messages from last week, things that we still have to protect ourselves, our homes, our families, our physical bodies, what we work for, our resources, and that what truly matters. But to stay grounded in the present and in reality, and to work what you have and the raw potential of what you have and what you can create out of it. So the need to shield and protect is greatly advised once again. I can feel it. So it's still a continuation of last week. No surprise in a way. But Obsidian's always a great tool. But it's the raw one. So again, protect yourself, those and that which matters in your life. And most of all, work with what you have in a practical sense. The other one is, that's why there's a highly sense of needing to self-protect and to protect that which, like I said, which matters, is hematite. So hematite is also a stone that is a crystal, a stone that is used for protection and grounding and repelling of energy. I do feel that both of these two in conjunction is, I believe there is this collective, and whomever may resonate with this, if you have obsidian of any form, especially the raw one, or hematite, carry one or both, or at least embody the energies of both. There is going to be a lot, I feel, of negative self-thoughts, voices of untruth, so to say. That's voices of untruth of your thoughts, maybe your perceptions, your experiences, and overthinking and overanalyzing, or letting your past do the talking versus looking at things from a present and future lens as everything comes into play. I also see that others are going to try to pull the wool over your eyes, so to say, in untruth, and try to make you feel negative about yourself or what you have or haven't done. But that's on them. So it's the need to also repel some of the energies of others in the outside world with that hematite on that and that obsidian. So use it as a deflective tool and as a protective tool for yourself, but also to be mindful of the foundations you're building and have. So never hurts to protect yourself in your kingdom, especially with this ever-changing world we're in. So now to the cards and the message on that, since it's going to be a week of required protection, we're going to see what the cards actually have and what my guides have to say, and what this collective most needs to be mindful, aware of, discern, or if they can bring into discernment this week's energies or experiences, and what may come into play or may not as each moment changes of every day. This is just more of an energetic tool, guidance, and something to be awareness of, to bring in the day-to-day experience, but also the magic of life, relationship, and relativity. Again, take whatever seems to apply to you, and if this message at all or any components of it resonate with you, or you have any questions, please comment below and let me know. Affirmation is always nice to have, and acknowledgement, but also connection. Plus, also please like, comment, and subscribe, as it helps my channel grow and know that I'm reaching others as others reach me. So let's see what the first card has from the Ritual Tarot. That's what I could say, by Tara May, 2nd edition, the March edition. One of my highly treasured decks, a collage deck, a work of art, of magic, truth, ritual, like her name is, but guidance, and so many different elements and components that were put into it. I love myself some indie decks. So this one decided to kind of jump out, so we're going with this one first. Let's see what we have here. Well, we got this last week. So again, if you did not watch last week's message, it probably ties into this one already. So go back and give it a watch. I have a playlist for my weekly collective readings. 4 of Swords, rest. Self-care and rest, along with that hematite and that obsidian, are needed. It feels like there's been a lot of overthinking. Last Swords have a lot to do with logic, clarity, discernment, and also thought forms and logic. But there is a need to really give yourself a rest. Your physical body, your mental body, your energetic body, and sometimes step away from the world. It's a need to take that extra moments of sleep, deep breaths, and reflection. The energy does feel kind of heavy from last week and even more so this week because, of course, things are piling up in a continuation. Life is always a pile up and continuation of the things we hold and carry in and that we haven't quite let go yet or acknowledged. But this words were just telling me, take a pause. Give yourself a break. You definitely need it. Your body's telling you that. Your mind and your emotions are telling you that. You don't always have to be go, go, go. Sometimes it's best just to take time for yourself and away from others, from yourself, to diffuse. So this week's a lot about self-care, reflection. Reflecting on what you have done, what you've accomplished, and how you've moved forth, and how you can kind of recharge and reset yourself so you can move properly for yourself and going forward, but through the present. Because that energy is going to be needed that despite all the challenges that this life happened to deal with all. And let's see what else we have. Another from the top and a one from the bottom. So there's 3 as usual. That's usually what my guides tell me. Let me take a look here. Just a second. If you watch any of my previous videos, you'll know the lighting in my altar room is not the greatest, along with, first and foremost, my eyesight. That is slowly being addressed, the eyesight meaning. We have the 4 of Wands. There's a glare at all. I apologize about that, but this is the 4 of Wands. So wands are fire. Those are the actions that we take, that we plan, the energy that we feel, we experience and create. And like I said, the element of fire. So the 4 of Wands. And we also have here one moment. And we have the Sun. Okay, a major arcana. Okay, so the major arcana are more of a weighted key of energy too, that kind of is more, stands out more, affects us more. Things that are kind of sometimes out of our control and are external to ourselves or from our spiritual lives, our day-to-day lives, but they hold a greater weight into a reading. So despite the 4 of Swords here and the need to reflect and kind of rebalance, take that deep breath and rest, if you do that and you're mindful of that and taking a good healthy pace with the 4 of Wands, I see that this collective will take a good healthy pace with this 4 of Wands. The 4s being 2 and 2, or 2 wands on each side, so a balance of action and activity and what you're planning and creating and enacting on, and what you're experiencing, but also that you can celebrate, because it is, the 4 of Wands is also about taking an analysis of what you have already done, especially in the recent past few weeks and past few months in this year. It's been an interesting year, to say the least, for all of us, or whom this collective is, I feel. But it's also an acknowledgement of finding balance and to what point you've already come, because that's what it is. We got 2 4s. I kind of didn't really realize that. So 2 4s for today. So pay attention to the number 4. Maybe that will come up someplace in this week, or multiple things equating to 4. Being mindful of maybe 4 o'clock, whether it's 4 a.m. or 4 p.m. Taking an extra 4 minutes, taking an extra 4 or multiple of 4s, rest, reflection, or maybe something of the number 4 you need to be mindful of in your resources. But the 4 of Wands is a great acknowledgement to be proud of yourself, to be proud of those around you that actually matter. And despite all the challenges that this collective has, whether it is in the day-to-day life experience, relationship realm of relationship, whether they be with our partners, our spouses, our co-workers, our jobs, or just life itself and family, to be mindful of that, because the Four of Wands is acknowledgement of how far you come, but also so you can start moving forward, and using that alignment to move forward before you get into more of a struggle. But analysis is needed. That's what all this is saying, but in a healthy way. So there's a lot to be happy of this week. Despite some heavy energy, there's a lot I see to be of. And the Sun is a great card. It is always denotes happiness, positivity, things falling into place, radiance and light. We still have summer, so that's something to be positive on. So this collective, I feel you're going to be you are mindful of your blessings and your abundance. You have a lot of challenges, like I said, a lot of day-to-day frustrations and things that just are not quite right and that you have to work through, potential health and relationship issues, and of course we all have financial issues, this way this world is. But there is something always to look onto. Not toxic positive. Oh wow, I can't talk. Toxic positivity or bypassing, no, don't do that. That's never good for yourself, especially or anything involved. Reality is reality and must be faced. But facing it with looking at, this might be happening to me, but here's the positive side of it. Here's what I can bring the light into, the enjoyment. Here's what I'm proud of myself for what I've done, or what I'm proud of those around me have done. Here's what I have. I have my basic resources, which others don't have, like a home, finances, food, light, and the ability to transmute things and make them in and bring the light in any situation. Despite, no matter how dark it is or how bleak it seems, you have that spark within yourself, and look for that spark in others and what's around you. The sun will shine brightly into you if you're mindful of taking the time for yourself, and the rest, I feel that you're already on the path to healing. If you've been in a struggle, or you will start making those steps onto that, and light's going to be shined into some of your situations to give you clarity overall too. So I feel as these next couple of days come up, it progresses, things will get more positive and more balanced, and you as a collective, and whom this may resonate with, will feel more in alignment. It's just taking that time, like we said. It doesn't seem like there's time, but do what you can with what you have. And let's see what the Oracle says. So this is typically a rambly reading as usual. Let's see what my favorite black and red, like I'm wearing today, and like my room, as you see, my aesthetic. I'm a big aesthetic gal, of course. And what resonates and makes you as an individual. That's how I look at it, as autonomy. So, what does this collective need to know to clarify the assisting conjunctive message, but also advice to move through this week's ever-changing energy, but to bring in that sun energy and to carry out from last week and kind of tie up and rebalance and realign and reanalyze. Okay, let's see a top and a bottom, I'm being told. So let's see here. Okay, so we got trust or stand firm in your choices. That's always great advice. And we'll talk about that in a second. And let's see what the other one is. Practice composure. Well, that's definitely needed every day, and sometimes way more so than that, especially with life. Okay, so that goes with, again, the raw obsidian and the hematite, and ties into this, as these all, as always, seem to have some tie-in and takeaway or little synchronicities, as we can see with the crystals and the 2 4s in the reading, and of course with these. So standing firm in your choices this week is still going to carry over from last week. Last week, this collective's been faced, as I know I have been, with many choices, many lots of little roadblocks or difficulties and obstacles. But you must continue to stand in your firm in your choices that you made last week and in the past few months, and that you're continuing to make for yourself. Have the courage of your convictions. I feel like certain things are testing your patience, or trying to create a negative space or bring that in. That's why that need for shielding, reflection, and protection is all needed. But stand by your choices. Even if it kind of fucking hurts and you don't want to do it, you don't want to be the bad guy, you don't want to face the repercussions, you don't want someone to dislike you, you don't want to hurt someone else. You got to stand by firm in your choices, because that having courage and conviction and doing the right thing for yourself is ultimately the first and foremost thing. You can't dictate what others do or change them, but you can stand firm in your choices and what you know is inherently right in your moral compass. So that's me this week. And with that, practice composure. As we said, with the need of the crystals, practice composure. There's a lot of still tests from last week and a lot still trailing in from before. But this collective's good at, despite how hard they have it, and biting your lip often more not, and holding your tongue, as they say, you're still good at composure. Practice composure. Even in the most difficult times, reframe and move through. Use that reframing of the sun's energy and that reflection of the Four of Swords, of knowing what's in and what you have accomplished, so you can move forward and not let life and others test you, or your inner doubts or inner demons, so to say. You are strong, you're good enough, you've accomplished a lot, you moved through some of the major things last week, you're going to be carrying over loose ends. So with that being said, I do see some heaviness first half of the week. Second half of the week, things will lighten up. Either way, follow your inner light, follow the light of those and things that matter and guide you. And with that, stay strange.